the meeting to order at 5:39. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I don't have any.
I don't have any. I would accept the motion.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes of January 27th.
And I'll second it. And if there's no further discussion, no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Town meeting warning review. Town moderator. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Should I ask my questions now or?
You could, however, you're the moderator. How would you like to run this meeting?
It's all yours. Good luck.
I know, really. Well, one question that Cynthia and I were talking about is the paper ballot. Do you know if the town of Putney follows state law and 7 people requesting a paper ballot is enough, or is it by majority?
I couldn't remember.
I want to say it was by majority, show of hands, whether to go to an acceptance to a paper ballot.
I think that's usually how we've
haven't
done it,
done
but
a
I,
great deal, but we have.
we have done it. And it has to be one or the other, sort of
Right.
established
Yeah,
as.
because state law is 7 people is enough to call for a paper ballot, even before division.
I told her that we should probably ask Anita
Yeah, I don't know.
because I don't.
I think, I would agree with Scott. I think when we've done it, we've gone with a majority.
Uh-huh.
Has there
approve
been
it.
something that's changed it, or was there a question raised?
I
In
think
regards
it's
to
like
open
which is
meeting
governing
law?
law, because
Yeah.
if we don't have something in our.
Then it would
laws,
default to the state.
then it defaults to
Right.
the state. So common practice may be call for paper ballot, run a majority, but in fact, the law is only 7.
So it would just
And
take 7
so-
people to ask for the. I think I'm thinking that that's the way it is because I think that's how we do it in Westminster.
With the 7.
Is the 7?
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's how we've done it.
I mean,
here.
we
I'll
should
have to
check
ask.
with Anita, but I don't object
I mean,
to
it's-
it being 7. I mean, if 7 people
Yeah.
agree on it, then.
I guess if you were having
Doesn't seem
something like
unreasonable to me.
like a special town meeting and say you only had 10 voters,
Right.
okay, and.
Yeah.
Well,
So then
that's-
would it be a
right,
majority? Yeah.
Things like that, I don't know.
Well, if there were only 10, then 7 would be a majority, so in that case.
Right, but it could be
Would be
6.
there.
Yeah, you're right, it could be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. Ask Anita.
Okay, I'll have to do
Well, and I
And-
guess the other
and
question
then-
is who's decides that?
I was just gonna say.
I mean,
then
even if it's
is
been like that
like,
forever, does that mean that it's?
Do we vote on it, or do we
Yeah, that
have a
would be the
paper
other
ballot
question.
on it, or do you know
that.
how it gets established? It
Yeah,
needs
it
to be
is
voted
because
on?
the town itself has voted on it,
Okay.
So we should find out, and,
yeah.
but if it hasn't been warned, then we shouldn't vote on it, so we
No.
would wanna warn it for next year.
For next year. I mean,
It's
we
not
could
clear.
just go with the.
We could go with the state
7.
and
Go with
then
the state.
vote on it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Although if we don't have to vote on it, do we wanna?
Yeah, do you wanna raise that can of worms? But the thing is that right now, unless I know that the town has changed it, I need to go with the 7.
Yeah. I agree. So we'll talk to Anita because she might remember if they voted on it,
Right.
and I don't. My guess is that they probably didn't at some
I don't
point.
know.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes
You never know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Second question I have is, are there time limits for the amount of time each speaker can speak? Robert's rules, I think, is 10.
Yeah, we have never abided by a specific time limit, to my knowledge. You know, what we try and do rather than I mean, and this may be one of your other questions, is, you know, allowing people who haven't spoken to speak before
Right.
people repeat.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to say, I'm not sure I've experienced anybody trying to speak more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I haven't
Even
run
with
into
the
that
hot
as an
topic
issue.
issues that we have, I haven't noticed that that's been a problem.
No.
Well, somebody's interrupted by then.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Eva yells.
Eva calls the question.
Right.
Eva will yell, you don't have to worry about a time limit, she'll yell at
Yeah,
them, yeah,
right.
she'll yell,
And
and
it really is the amount of time a person, I just looked at my notes, it's actually 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Each
that
person
makes
cannot
more,
speak over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that nobody can speak twice until everybody who wants to speak
Has
spoken
spoken.
once.
I think that's
Yeah.
the more
read
important
that,
one,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
one that most people
Yes.
want, that's what they're really concerned with, is making sure. I've never
So-
heard anybody complain about somebody talking too long.
Right.
but if it is 5 minutes, you know, I think we would, I mean, if that's Robert's rules,
Yeah.
we would abide by Robert's rules,
Right.
so.
And that actually came up last year, was it last year? I mean, it was, not you, but I forget his name.
Peter Eden.
President, what?
Peter Eden.
He spoke over 5 minutes, and I remember there was like, rah, 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 rah. So
Did he really? Well, I guess they would.
anybody who just
Could
could
complain about that.
complain about that. So it's just something that I as moderator will say. Maybe it's-
Yeah, I think it's worth saying at the beginning. I guess my feeling would also be, you know, if you get the sense somebody's at 4 minutes and 50 seconds and
Yeah.
they're about to wrap up,
Exactly.
you know, I
Right.
wouldn't worry about it. If they're at 6 minutes and they're not showing any signs of wrapping up, then,
Yeah, I'll have hand signals maybe or whatever.
yeah, something along those lines,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I have one last question, and that is, and this is something that I may need to, that the school board will probably need to do, but according to what I was told, there had to be 2 petitions, one, because I was elected to be town moderator, but there should have been a completely separate petition
Oh,
for
no
me to be
kidding.
a school board moderator.
Oh.
And the fact that we haven't done that is not a disaster, but I will
Right.
need the school board to formally ask me.
Invite you to be their moderator, yeah.
And then, but in the future, I don't know, it's something we might wanna think about, just cause it's cleaner, if the person.
Having the two,
Right.
yeah.
So that's not a question, that's.
So I
actually-
guess the question as far as going forward would be, would we warn it as, or not warn it, but would you be on the ballot as both, or
Right.
would you be running for 2 separate offices?
Are you on the ballot for both right now?
I didn't think so, I thought I was just on the
No,
town
it's
moderator.
always been.
Does it
more
just say
single.
town moderator?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
ever
no,
since
and
I've been
as
here,
far
it's
as I know,
always
that's
been one.
always, yeah, no, that's
So the
what I would say too.
recommendation from the trainers is if you can separate it out, get 2 petitions, it's just cleaner to have, because you could actually separate that job.
Or somebody could run for
Right,
one
somebody
or
could,
the other.
yeah, and maybe with Act 46, this, who knows what will happen down the
Right,
road, but for
right.
now, the cleaner thing is to actually have 2
interesting.
petitions and 2 line items.
Okay.
That's it.
So I think as far as I'm concerned, the articles are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
The only one that's maybe a little unclear is Article 4, which is to hear and act upon the reports of the town officers. That's not really a voting article.
Right.
Okay, so you're okay, you're
Yeah.
familiar with that one. That's different for us this year than what we've had in the past.
Mhm.
But that was recommended to us by VLCT as a better
Yeah.
way to review the reports in the town report and let people talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Other than that.
So there won't be a
But-
motion on the floor for that, there will be questions and answers, it's not deliberative,
Correct.
right?
That's how I understand it, yeah.
So, really? So there isn't, it's not a question of approving them per
Right.
se? Huh.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise it would have to be properly warned, what was the proposal?
Right.
Yeah, and it's, the law does not, require you to approve those reports.
Mhm.
But I said to him, if it doesn't require us to approve them, then where do we get to talk about it? Like, where is there a section in the meeting where we can say to people, you know, have you read your town report, and do you have any questions about the reports? And that's what they suggested the article
Huh,
be.
Interesting.
And the minute we go into sort of informational mode, then it's not a deliberative body, and if Robert's rules doesn't pertain, well, except for maybe,
5-minute
people,
limit.
right?
Yeah.
And making sure everybody speaks before somebody talks again.
But other than that, everything's pretty, we have 2 articles this year on budget because we've separated the general fund and the highway fund, but it's a straightforward vote of the expenses. There'll be some explanation we have to give, but nothing weird about the vote.
anticipate any significant amendments on some of these dollar amounts?
Not that I can think of, no. No.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, I don't think we're anticipating
Nope.
them. You know, there may be, I don't think it'll be confusing, but there may be some questions related to the fact that the highway budget is separated out from the town budget.
We'll have a
Sort of
handout,
just
yeah.
paperwork, you
Right.
know, it's not, there wasn't any reason to do that other than financial transparency and clarity,
Uh-huh.
basically, so, that's the explanation.
So we'll probably talk a little bit about that separation during Article 12, even though we won't be voting on the highway budget at that time. I think we'll have to talk about highway
Yes.
budget at the same time, just so people understand what it is that's,
Why it's a
Yeah.
$1.2 million budget as opposed to a
1.9.
1.9, yeah, exactly.
And this is one of those places where, and I'll go with, because I'm, obviously brand new to this, does it make sense to handle the highway second? Or could there possibly, this is one of those sequencing where, would there be any benefit for the voters to have one clear number before the other?
I don't think so. I mean, either way, we're going to have to talk about them both together this year at some point.
Okay.
Because, the handout is going to explain the reasoning for it and what the budget would have looked like, the comparison from the total dollars last year to what the total of the two is together.
That's what I think the
Yeah.
most important, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you can obviously do it pretty easily, but we should make that clear.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Also, just so it's not confusing.
so,
One other thing that we often confuses things, you've probably experienced this, is like if Article 11 is approved, that does not get added, right? When we do, they're voted separately, and it's sort of logical that way, but often there's a discussion about whether things that we've voted to add on then get added to the large number that we're voting on as the budget, and the answer is no.
right.
Right, these are totally separate budgets, 11 and 12. So the figures on 11 and 12, or sorry, the figures.
The figures on 12 and 13 would remain the same regardless of what happens, or, basically the figure on Article 12 would remain the same regardless of what happens on Article 11.
11, okay.
But the reality is that we would be raising that much more.
Right, when we go to
If that-
calculate the taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If Article 11 gets approved, it will in fact affect the amount of money that we raise, but it's voted as a separate budget item, if that makes sense.
Perfectly clear.
I'm taking it on faith, because I don't have to worry about substance, I just have to worry
Yeah.
about procedure.
Yeah, we'll,
Because the general fund is separate than the highway fund, that one makes total sense.
yeah,
But the, SVED, or what do we say?
yeah.
Sevens.
Yeah,
Sevens.
SEVED, sorry, the SEVEDs is not
Well,
the general fund,
Unless it gets approved.
yeah,
And if it gets approved, then it becomes money that we have to raise
in addition to
the budget that we approve separately.
1 million, 175. Okay, that's actually helpful. Okay.
So do you want me to touch base with Anita about those questions, or do you want to come in and talk to her?
If you could, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can.
That'd be super, and just send me an email?
Yep,
Terrific.
I can do that. And then I don't see any need to, sometimes we meet before town meeting. Like
Pre-town
at a
meeting.
Yeah,
Pre-town
like
meeting.
at the meeting, but I don't, do you guys see a need for that this year? I mean,
Not particularly.
unless you end up with some other questions.
Well, I mean, just because these early ones, I will just read them out loud and
Yeah.
then turn it over, read it out loud, because it's only gonna get interesting when we have to deliberate on something, so.
And how do you want to do the moving of the articles? Do you, one thing we get into is, we usually just, you take one, I'll take two,
Right,
you
that
take
makes
three.
sense.
Okay.
Because you guys should be moving them.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah.
confirm that with you, because
Right.
sometimes that's been a little bit of a question in the past. is
Yeah,
that
no, I
sort of
think that
who's
makes
supposed
total
to be
sense,
moving.
that you would be moving the article, and then we'll get a second from the floor,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And then we'll open up the discussion.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Good?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
You're gonna
You
be
know,
fine.
one never wants to
When you're to the
jinx it,
third,
but it
when you're
seems
to
like
the
it
third
could be
amendment
pretty
to the
straightforward.
motion to.
The amendment to the amendment, yeah, really. I'm hoping that we can just go to the amendment to the amendment and we can stop there, but I may have some visuals to put up in front. Whether we're doing the motion, A1, A2, A3, then we go backwards.
Like you said,
Yeah.
I don't wanna jinx it, but I don't think we're,
Doesn't seem too
Doesn't
complicated,
seem-
but
This seems good.
you never know.
yeah, this seems like a good first,
Yeah, really, that's what, when
First
I
meeting.
saw this, I was like, hallelujah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what you say on March, whatever it is, yeah.
March 2nd. March 1st.
Yes, the day after.
So you can just
All right,
let me know if you have any other questions too.
thank you. Okay, review of 2016 appointments. So are we acting on this?
No,
Okay. so
no,
this still
it's
is,
just, basically handing out the, list of, normally what happens is we review the list, we send a letter out to the people that have been appointed to these positions, asking them if they're still interested. We're doing this a little earlier than we have in the past.
Yeah,
Just because it would be nice at that first meeting after town meeting to be able to appoint
those people.
those people, so just trying to move it a little bit. And also giving some time to redo some recruiting and within the next couple weeks of any of the empty positions, if you think of somebody that might be interested. Just kind of a heads up of let's get the word out.
Sounds good. Since we're in that realm, Becky Coffey, she will have to submit a letter, but she resigned from affordable housing
Oh.
basically in the interest of opening a space for Kellen.
Okay.
So,
Actually, Kellen's gonna come see me tomorrow. I just told her to come in and so that she could introduce herself and that
sounds
we knew
good.
each other.
So
and-
just let her know that Becky
Okay,
felt like she had other reasons to step down, but she felt
But she
like
felt-
she was comfortable stepping down, knowing that somebody else was
was ready to,
happy to
Okay.
step up, so.
right? Sounds good.
All right, subcontractor policy,
Oh, I didn't get to this.
you didn't? Okay.
So this
So we're
is,
gonna do
this
it or
is
not?
basically another, okay, so we have, I don't know, when I first got here, we went through the process of talking about
Do we have a
hiring
sheet on this?
subcontractors.
No.
Yeah, there should be something in there, hold on. Hiring subcontractors and the workers' comp issue. And we had made a decision that we were not gonna be using any subcontractors that did not have workers' comp because
Right.
our insurance company.
Right,
So we have recently changed insurance companies. They still, VLCT, the passive insurance, is still requiring us to review contractors and make sure that they have workers' comp. But there is a non-employee work agreement that they will allow if we can prove that the contractor is doing work that is not under the town's purview. So as an example, somebody painting the letters on the side of the truck, somebody that comes up here to do that, or somebody that might be fixing the front door. I mean, it's been a really difficult for us to find people to do really small jobs.
Mhm.
So I'm in the process, and there should be something in your packet that it's a copy of the non-employee work agreement. If it's not, I'll get you a copy. I'm trying to come up with a policy that will be clear to all of us hiring people to do work on what the process is and
What
trying
the-
to figure
yeah.
that out. The library is running into some issues with people that are doing lecture series or like the puppeteers, those kind of people. Not mostly with workers' comp, but even liability insurance. And it's, you know, how do we determine what risk level we're willing to take and
Puppeteering
who
is
makes-
very high risk.
I was going to say that's right up there with,
you know, one of the things that we talked about, which is something nobody wants to talk about, is the liability portion for most people in that type of position is their contact with children.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so not saying anything about anybody, it's just one of those things you have to
Yeah.
think about and
Yeah.
what it is that they're lecturing about. And so on the surface, it seems very,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
wouldn't have occurred to me, but of course it
Yeah.
makes sense, yeah.
so, but we also don't want to go crazy and not be able to hire anybody because,
right.
so we're trying to come up with a compromise that will allow us to hire some people but the question is, who is the one that makes the decision of what the risk is and what is the process that we use to make that decision? So,
Well,
you know, the insurance company's take is always, you know.
What's the process in the schools, in the school districts?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
about, you've got all kinds
We've
of
called-
people coming in for occasional guest appearances,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
So I assume that's vetted through
there must be
the
a
district.
policy, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I did
do
talk to
we,
someone
as
that's
the
not in
governing
Vermont.
body,
She's in
vet people
in
somehow?
New Hampshire. She runs an early ed program, and all of her subcontractors, no matter what they do, have to carry $1 million liability policy. So I don't think it's the same here, but I haven't asked. So it's one of those things that's it's.
And that's statutory, or that's just
That's what their requirement is in their
town?
It's not a public school.
Oh, I see.
So. you
All
know,
right.
It's really hard to make the decision when you're sitting there trying to figure out who we need to rehab. Some of them are pretty straightforward, but some of them are not. So I will get you a copy of what VLCT sent me. I thought I had it in there, but so that you guys can read through it. So when I do present a policy, you'll know where it came from.
Sounds good. All right, Town of Brookline Road Maintenance Agreement.
So we have had a maintenance agreement with the town of Brookline for several years. They send us a property tax bill for a piece of property.
Right.
We then bill them the amount of that property tax bill for the maintenance of Holland Hill and Bennett Roads, the pieces that are in Brookline. And so it's just kind of a wash. They wanted to formalize it. And this is their formal, so that somebody else taking over. For a while, we didn't bill them because there wasn't anything formal for us to look at, and we didn't know. So we've started that again, and so they just wanted to formalize it with us. They did it through their board and wanted to do it for you guys.
So would then this be essentially?
It's about $1,800 a year. Was it 1,800, Laura? Yeah.
Is this
So
something we're taking an action on? Or?
Yeah, I would like something saying that you.
So,
We agree with this.
but they want to actually pay? I'm a little confused.
They do pay,
And then we reimburse.
right? So we get the property tax bill. I write out a bill to them for the amount of that property tax bill for the road maintenance. So we pay the bill, they then turn around and pay us a check for.
And we want to keep it that way,
Yes.
just for financial
Yeah,
clarity?
yeah,
Okay.
because we have to send a property tax, or they have to send us a property tax bill,
Okay,
so,
right, that's sort of,
yeah.
okay.
That's kind of-
So I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation to formalize the agreement with the town of Brookline,
Second motion.
dated February 1st.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we wanna go to
Probably,
the other stuff
unless
is
there's,
pretty,
it is just, yeah, it's just us, so.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna have a discussion with the Windham County Sheriff's Office, who, I see the sheriff is here, and, in regards to a staff change. Keith?
I've also asked Captain Margaret Lake to be here also. Thank you very much for letting us in. So as you're now aware, after over 7 years of having her assigned here, we'll be reassigning Melissa to a new assignment, and we'll be having a new deputy come in to support the town of Putney. Host of reasons for doing so, much of it around advancing Melissa's career. She's been assigned here longer than any other deputy's had an assignment in my office since I've been the sheriff. So it was time for both her and for the benefit of the sheriff's office to reassign her, and that'll be effective starting Monday. Again, host of reasons for doing so, has nothing to do with her work product here. In fact, I think she's done a phenomenal job in the town of Putney.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, we've had some discussion about this amongst, well, Cynthia and I have had this conversation back and forth. And I just want to say up front, and I think Cynthia's already made this clear to you, but just so you know, I agree certainly that we're pretty disappointed in how the communication of this came to the town. We feel that you promoted this entire program of having community policing based in Putney, based on communication, having somebody local, living here, etc. And then for us to find out from Melissa with no advance notice from your department when you must have been thinking about this for quite a while, disappointing, to sort of say the least, I would say.
Right, and I did. I had this conversation with the manager, and I did apologize for that. But it hasn't been a long conversation. It was actually relatively quick. In that, yes, we started last summer. There were 5 deputies in my office that we put through a training program to be supervisors. That started, I think, in August, with no really guarantee of when they would be promoted, depending on as openings came up. In January, my course supervisor announced really short notice that he was leaving at the end of January. And we anticipated that wasn't going to happen until this summer, but he decided that he was going to leave. That then caused us to start looking at moving people around. So we moved someone out of Vernon to fill that supervisor role, which then created the opening in Vernon, and there's some other things that we're also looking at. So it wasn't, even though we started the training process in August, it wasn't with the intent of moving Melissa out of Putney at that point. At some point in the future, yes. And it just happened much quicker, and it was really quick, even from our perspective. It was not the best way to handle it. I've already told the manager that. There probably, and it could have been a better way as soon as we thought that was a possibility, but it would have only still given you probably 2 weeks notice.
Which would have been a significant
difference.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
I don't-
from my perspective, this is something, Cynthia called me on whenever it was, I guess it was Friday or Monday, when after Melissa had told Cynthia this was occurring. I don't want to give you a hard time beyond giving you a hard time, but it felt like sort of a betrayal to the town. You have been very clear with us, and we have fully understood since day one that there was a very high likelihood that Melissa was not always going to be our local community police officer. However, I think that we certainly would have appreciated a heads up, even if it had been 2 weeks. And I understand you're saying, you know.
And
you
I own that,
apologize for that.
I
Yeah.
do apologize
Yeah,
for that,
yeah.
And when I had that conversation, again, with the manager, I owned it right away, I didn't disagree,
Yeah,
that we could have handled that better, but things happen relatively quickly, and sometimes you don't do things the right way, and I apologize for that. But it was in no way meant to be a slight to the town, that we've had a great working relationship since my
Yeah.
very first day.
Yeah.
And as looking back, I'm like, well, I screwed that one up.
yeah. No, I would agree with you.
Right,
So-
so I don't know if this is, we have a new deputy coming in, Josh will start on Monday. Josh has actually already been doing work in town.
And with Melissa, or?
Some with Melissa and some on his own. We've had him out here doing some motor vehicle stuff to get used to the roads in the community, and he's done very well doing that. He's already interacted with a lot of folks in town. Some from traffic stops, some from just being around. I think he'll do a great job. About the same experience level Melissa had when she started. You have to give him a chance to get his feet wet and get used to the community, but I think he'll do as good a job. And again, like we did with Melissa, we'll encourage him to move to town and make this his home. Again, Melissa initially didn't want to move to Putney when we asked her to come up here. No, I'm happy where I am, but she did. She moved here and made this her home. And so it wasn't easy for her either. She didn't want this move, but sometimes we end up, as part of our careers, that happens. So that's where we are right now.
Do you have any sense whether this deputy is likely to move to town?
I don't have a sense one way or the other. The captain may have a better sense, but
Not this time, no.
so
No, you don't have a sense, or no, you
No
don't think
sense.
he's likely to? No.
yeah. So but those are conversations that we will have and continue to have. Because I think it is beneficial to have a person that lives in town, and that's why Melissa's been able to stay here as long as she has been, because she became so ingrained in the community. And in fact, so ingrained, and we wanted to encourage it, it's actually been a financial loss for my office over the last couple of years. Because we've tried to keep your costs low and not, I'm well aware what community budgets are like. With her level of experience and what she now, makes per hour, she spends it, and her benefits, it's a loss for us to have her in Putney, which is one of the considerations we had to take into account. So that's not the only reason that we're moving her. Don't take it that way, but it is one of the things that we looked at.
Yeah, I think that the timing, for better or for worse, as far as, this happening a couple weeks before town meeting, and the discussion of budget and, renewal of contract, et cetera, I'm guessing it's gonna come up. I don't know that it will. But I guess in thinking through what would have been nice to know in advance, I guess one aspect of that is, if the town of Putney was interested, would we have been able to support Melissa being here for a longer period of time if it was a financial question? I have no idea whether we would be interested in that or not as a town.
It was a consideration, and it was one of the very last things that we looked at. What is it actually costing us to have Melissa in Putney versus what your contract is? And your contract is at, our proposed rate has gone, it was like a 3% increase this year. Last couple of years, I think we've kept it pretty much level funded. Again, I don't know if I would even move her back if it was just a question of the money, but that is not a discussion we've even had in my office between the captain and I and the lieutenant around, looking at it just from that financial aspect. I suspect you're right that it will be a point of conversation at town meeting. My plan is to be here on that day to answer any questions and to receive the tomatoes that will be thrown. The hard part for me is this town really has come to embrace Melissa. And Melissa the town, she has become part of this community.
Right.
And please understand, this was not an easy decision for us to make. And it was not easy for Melissa either. I'm sure Melissa has let the manager, and maybe even some of you know, she wasn't happy with the decision that we had to make. It was not an easy decision for us to go through. there was a lot of discussion about it. But we felt it was the right decision for my agency and for the community.
What's the level of experience of the person coming in?
He's a level 2. He's been working for me for about 2 years now, year and a half. So at some point we'll have to send him to level 3 school. Level 2 means he can work 40 plus hours a week. He just certain calls he can't respond to. He can't go to like a homicide call, an aggravated sexual assault. He can be an emergency. He just can't be the investigating officer. He would have to call one of us to investigate. Very similar to the level of experience Melissa had when she started here. And so at some point we'll send him to they call it the level 3 school now, the full-time school, and we'll backfill the full-time person until he gets back. That'll probably be next August.
Which is the same thing Melissa did.
Yep,
when she
exactly
was
the same thing.
here.
So you're really at, and there's a learning curve for the community to get to know him and for him to know the community. Again, we have to give him that opportunity, and we'll support him through that. We learned a lot during both, Melissa here and, deputies we've had in other towns, what they need for support to do that, and that we've learned. We can do that. So Melissa helped train him, so we know that similar skill levels at this point, and I think he'll work out very well.
Numerous members of Public Safety Committee are here. I'm just wondering whether anybody has comments or questions from a public safety standpoint, how this fits into things.
I apologize for having my back to you.
Nothing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is he medically certified at all? I mean, one of the things from a medical point of view is Melissa's a...
Right, we put Melissa through the EMT training, and we will encourage Josh to do the same thing. He has basic first aid, as we all do. Yep.
Got anything to say?
Oh, trust me, she's already spoken to me.
I gather that.
Not the most pleasant conversation I had, but one I deserved, and like I said, I own that. In fact, I give Cynthia a lot of credit. She was more reserved than I anticipated when she called me.
She told me she was reasonably reserved.
She
so.
was, and very professional, and she did, when she called.
Yeah, I think you might be stretching the whole being professional thing a little bit. I wasn't that professional.
No, you didn't swear at me, so you did very well.
I said one.
Forthright and direct.
You got anything to add?
I do not.
Well,
Other than to thank Melissa very much for her
absolutely.
service here.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, even in Melissa's new role, she will have a lot to do with deputies assigned throughout my agency and including Putney, a lot of input. And so you're not losing her from having an impact on your community, a positive impact. You're just not gonna see her every day. She may at times be here to backfill or to assist. So please understand that you're not completely losing the Melissa impact on your community.
I'm assuming, well, this is irrelevant. I'm assuming she may well keep living in Putney for the period of time, at least until her daughter is
I don't
done
think
with
there's any
school.
intent on
Yeah.
her part to move. I think she's very happy living here and being as involved in the community as she is. And I don't, from my conversations with her, I do not see that changing with her and Jeremy moving. I think they plan to stay here.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, so was her promotion at odds with her staying here? In other words, in order for, you mentioned that she was just promoted. So could she have stayed here and had that promotion? I mean, you were sort of tying them together.
If she stayed here with that promotion, it would be about a $16,000 difference between what we currently receive from the town and what her pay and benefits would equate to. So that was towards the tail end of the decision. But her promotion she was promoted because of her new assignment. She may have probably ultimately would be promoted anyway, even if we were able to keep her here. But I needed to fill that supervisor position in Vernon. So she will actually oversee 4 deputies down there. So it was about, at some point, even if she remained here, she was still likely been promoted and sort of having to supervise other patrol deputies from a distance and manage their schedules that way. That's probably how that would have worked.
Right.
And this is technically a promotion for her? I mean,
Correct.
it's not a change in title, is that
No,
correct?
it's an actual promotion.
Okay.
Yep.
And she benefits financially from that, we hope?
She does.
I guess the only thing I would say is that going forward, we hope that, that you take away from this that, you know, the more you can communicate with us, that's important. And, you know, we've already made it clear that that's the aspect of this we're sort of least satisfied with, and you've accepted that. I'd just like to say that hopefully something like this doesn't happen again, because it was pretty disappointing for us.
It was, and I was disappointed myself, and no one else in my office is responsible for that. It wasn't the captain's fault, the lieutenant's fault, it was me. I've always felt we've had a good working relationship and good communications. Whenever the manager's called, I've responded, and we've worked through issues. This one is on it.
And she may not be as professional if it happens again. So
I
show up at your door, et cetera.
I know the people in Putney are going to I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens and nothing, it may not change your mind, it may, but it's gonna be interesting to see how people react to it because of what she brings to the town. And I guess if she had come and said, look, I'm looking to move and I'm looking to make a career change and I'm moving to Alabama, whatever it is, everybody in this town would be 100% behind her. It's more that she didn't, it felt to me like it wasn't her choice. And maybe that happens sometimes, I understand that, but I don't know. I think there was a sense in the community that when a change was made, it was gonna be because she was looking to make a change. So, I don't know what the reaction will be. She's gonna be sorely missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely reiterate Scott's
Yeah, and
gratitude towards her, and also just, you know, we hope you're making the right decision for her in doing this. You know, obviously there's no, but you know, she deserves to be treated well, and I know you have her best interest in heart. You know, whether this is part of that or not for various different reasons, you know, we don't know. That, you know, that's within your department, obviously, but.
I mean, change is always difficult.
Yeah.
From the person being moved or the community or from our office, everything that we look at. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're moving a lot of people into different positions and promoting folks. And, there's a lot of things happening after, well, I just started my 10th year. And again, Melissa's been in this assignment longer than any other assignment I've given a deputy, which bodes well for both her and the community. But at some point you have to move on with your career and give other people an opportunity to have the same opportunity that she's had here. So again, a lot of discussions in my office on around that move. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
How you been?
Do you want some fruit? Yeah, no, it's gonna need to go somewhere.
Closer to a cold
All
window.
right.
Huh?
Closer to a cold window.
Or just out in the hallway, one or the other, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I'm guessing that's why most of you were here, so you're welcome to stay, but don't feel like you have to. Yeah.
And I don't know enough about their staffing structure, but is the implication that Vernon has that much bigger a squad and is gonna pick up this difference?
Thanks, Meg.
Sorry?
I was expecting it.
See you, Nick.
Thanks.
They do, I mean, they historically have, I don't want to speak about something I don't really know exactly. They historically have had their own department, which the Windham County Sheriffs have taken over for them. You know, as he said, and I think it's accurate, she's going to be supervising several people, all of whom I believe work within Vernon, and how that's related to, I mean, Vernon's population,
Yeah, because I think
is smaller than ours.
I think they have 24-hour coverage through, do you guys know?
24/7.
24/7 through the sheriff's, just like, they basically replaced their other police department with the sheriff's department
Because of the plan, I assume.
for 24-hour
Historically.
coverage. I think
Again,
I think that the community was used to a police department. And so when they voted the police department out and replaced it with a contract instead, is what my limited following
I was
of
curious
their,
if that $16,000 difference is being actually picked up by the town, or if there's some other source of funding that somehow gets,
I don't know.
but
I don't know whether Yankee still supports the town in that respect. I don't know. I mean, I would assume that the department, when it was originally set up, was significantly underwritten by the plant, but I have no idea. You know, I think it's pretty clear from what we see of how much Melissa has done and does in town, that we could use more than we have here. I'm not saying we should do that, but, you know, she's fully occupied just doing what she does, and that doesn't allow a whole lot of time for her to do other things like traffic control, et cetera. So, you know, whether Vernon, you know, sort of why they made that decision and what the finances of it are, I don't know, but, you know, more people is something we certainly could be using if we chose to.
it's a huge differential, 4 versus 1.
Absolutely, I have no idea.
Town is
Yeah.
essentially the same size, so I'm just,
It's the 24/7 would be the reason, but what, you know, why that choice?
I-
40 minutes.
Like I said, my very limited, it's one of those, that's what the town got used to.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they wanted to reduce the cost, so they eliminated their own and they contracted instead. So not saying that they don't need it. I mean, I'm sure if we had a 24-hour police department, they would be busy.
yeah,
But I think that it was just the community was used to having that and not having the state police be the pickup of the off hours of, so that,
Right.
you know, you get used to a certain level of, well, like us, we're in, you know, we're used to a certain level of service for different things.
You think about what the town of Putney pays for the limited amount that we have Melissa,
yeah,
and if you multiplied that by 4, just say,
Yeah.
or more,
that's
yeah,
gonna be a pretty big chunk of money for the town of Vernon and their taxpayers.
yeah, absolutely.
But it still was smaller than what they were paying the police for, so it made it feel like it was a savings to them, I guess. I mean, I know Londonderry right now is looking, I think they have an article on their warning for state police coverage for, I think, 25 hours a week, and it's $86,000 a year. 80-something thousand a year.
So for how many hours?
I wanna say it's 25, I'd have to relook at it to be sure, but,
And our current contract is 57?
54, this fiscal year is 54,
54.
it's going up, I think, to 57.
And that's essentially for 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Coverage. You know, the other thing that's been a big part of this, and maybe we should have been having all these conversations with Keith in the room, but, you know, there's been discussion about why we don't generate more income from traffic stops. And you know, the basic reason is because Melissa is too busy. That's been a discussion with us from the beginning, because that was one of the things that when we originally decided to sign up for what was grant money to do this, it was under the understanding that a significant portion ultimately might be offset by income from traffic stops, which I think, you know, not that we want to be trying to stop everybody, but I think that we could use a lot more traffic control in Putney. I think speeding is an issue, and the sort of sidebar that would in fact provide income is an upside. So,
Like you say, it takes time to generate that, because, you know, people don't fall into your lap, you have to spend time
absolutely,
waiting somewhere for those
Yeah.
things to come along.
yeah. It's also seemingly, and I don't know the details of it, but it seems like a pretty cumbersome process bringing that money in, then a significant amount of it goes to the state, then the state reimburses it, you know, it depends on where tickets are issued, et cetera, and what for, whether it's running a stop sign or, you know, so, you know, even when there have been more tickets issued, we don't tend to see much coming in from that at all over a period of
Or
time.
it's
And
kind of a
Yeah,
it's not
a
100%
random
clear why
appearance
that
of
is.
money right out of the blue.
Yeah.
Occasional project,
But, you know, it seems pretty clear that the department, you know, I mean, all of us, I think, would agree that, you know, we'll miss Melissa, but also that, you know, we want whatever is best for her. Hopefully this will be best for her to, you know, enhance her career opportunities if she chooses to go that route, so. But. All right,
Well, yeah.
thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Oh, you're gonna stay? What's that? It's exciting stuff.
There's not much else going on, really. 2016 highway mileage certificate.
So I did.
Come on, that's the high point, Billy.
I did put a copy of the new highway mileage certificate, and you will see that the state has deducted 0.17 miles from our class 4, and there's a map that's posted or attached to it. There's this
yeah.
Town Highway 20. It is Town Line Road East or something like that. And it is a class 4. Apparently back when they built the interstate, they never shortened the mileage on that.
Right, it's
And
the stretch
when-
that run,
yeah.
yeah.
And when Windham Regional was reviewing our maps, they were like, wait a minute, there's not enough even distance between those two spots to have that much mileage. So it's not even a road that looks like a road anymore, I guess. I
It's a
asked
through
Ryan
line.
if he, yeah. So that was the only adjustment to our mileage this year.
Okay. And does that reflect anything that Windham Regional would have discovered? I mean, is that process totally completed for mapping?
I think so, yeah.
So in theory, this
Should be
is sort
good.
of the totally clean slate for
Should be,
the
yes.
mileage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys, I need you guys to sign that down here.
You wanna make a motion?
Yeah, you should probably make a motion to
Uh,
accept the mileage on the highway mileage
I'll make a
certificate.
motion that we accept the highway, 2016 highway mileage certificate as presented.
I will second that motion, and if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Quote for computer, library, and fire station remote connection.
So when we talked about getting the new computer system, one of the things that we really wanted to have done was a remote connection to our other departments, library, fire station, eventually maybe the highway, for them to be able to access the financial system to do various things so that we don't duplicate work in this office. The library will be able to enter cash receipts, that kind of thing, but the quote for the computers, which it was around 12,000, I think, when we did the original quote for replacing all the computers just recently. I attached a detail of the amount that we've spent so far because there was some unforeseen expenses like the scanning for the copier needed to get connected and our copier company had to come in and do that. Nemrick had to come in and do some installation of the, I don't know if it was the CAMA system. So there were some things that needed to be added. So it ended up that we spent around it was 13,671.
Yeah.
So before I went and purchased, what we have to do in order to get the remote connection is purchase a standalone workstation, a computer, because if they dial,
that communicates.
that communicates with them, they could dial directly into our server, but it would bog our server down. Yeah. So they felt this was the best way to do it. We're managing without this. We still have $1,300 left in this line item that we were using to pay for the computer system. So I wanted to ask before I went ahead and did this.
What do you mean using to pay?
Using-
for the
Well,
we
the
budgeted
capital
15.
we
or
were
50.
using we were using the capital reserve transfer line instead of transferring to the capital reserve.
Right,
That's where we have purchased the computers out of.
right.
So the original quote I gave you was around 12,000. We've overspent that a little bit. So before I spent any more over what I had told you, I thought I'd come back and ask for some permission to buy this. We'll still be under budget on this line, this $15,000 line if we do that. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew what was going on with it. So there is a possibility for the library to help us pay for this, pay half maybe, but it is going to be our piece of equipment and it's going to be used by more than just the library.
Does this sound like the old bait and switch to you?
Yeah, a little bit, doesn't it?
Somebody needs a weekend away.
We can wait till next fiscal year. We can just
No,
keep doing what we're doing.
You're still saying under budget, you know, and in the library, I mean, ultimately, unless they bring, you know, it's our money going back and forth there anyway.
That's kind of what I.
Right, so.
No, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you need a motion on it?
Sure. Why don't we do that? Yeah.
So moved?
There you go.
Yeah. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to expend an additional, well, it's $569.
Plus, there's some travel time. in it,
Plus,
yeah.
plus labor, setting up connection for fire station library.
I don't think.
And highway department, presumably?
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, you can put the highway in there too if you want to say that because they will. If I can get him to turn the computer on and use it, he does use it a little.
It's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's everything there.
Yep.
Town manager's report.
So I just wanted to show you, I attached to your packet some maps that have been generated by Windham Regional as part of the parking inventory project that we were working on. So the first map, the one on the top, well, the one that says Putney parking inventory, and then it has the number of parking spaces. So this is kind of a summary of all of the parking spaces that they found. And then if you look at the two other maps, map 1 of 2, they're labeled map 1 of 2 and then map
Yeah.
2 of 2. Those are the individual parking spaces and who they belong to. So this is just giving, this is kind of the product that we have gotten out of them doing that project for us. And now it's up to us to figure out what we want to do with this information. If it's time to have some type of, you know,
So green is all municipal, sorry.
green is
green,
municipal,
yeah.
yeah. I'm a little, when spring hits, I wanna walk up Kimball Hill. That seems like a lot of public parking spaces to me. And I don't know if some of those ended up being actual like apartment parking spaces that maybe are not municipal. I don't know. Does that seem like a lot up the
It does.
right-hand side of the road?
Both sides of the road, actually, it looks like a lot, but,
Well, the left-hand side, I
Maybe,
can kind,
yeah.
there's some actual ones
Yeah.
that are marked off,
yeah,
but
most of this is just sort of drainage ditch.
residential,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I wanna double check those,
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder why they,
they might have counted cars when they went up through there, but it might not actually be a,
so it's not based on sort of allocation that was done at some point?
Mm-mm.
It's just
It was she
sort of
physically went out.
observation?
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I did give her behind us with the carriage house behind the town hall, and
You get
I
the
did give
numbers.
her an actual
Yeah.
parking like plan that they had given us during the site plan review of some sort.
But even that, I mean, like between the tavern and the carriage house, that's a lot of parking spaces
Yeah.
in there. I'm not sure. I don't think it should fit that many cars in there. I'm not sure.
So I think probably we'll give it, you know, wait till town meeting's over. I might do a walkthrough to just kind of identify the ones that she has come up with, make sure that that it's accurate, and then have some type of, I'd like to have some type of village meeting, get the, planning commission there, the development review board, and talk about what we can do with this information and how it ties in with zoning.
The other thing that's noticeably missing, in my opinion, is the new park and ride.
Oh, yeah, that is noticeably missing,
And
isn't it?
that's a
Yeah.
lot of spaces, so.
Yeah. Here, let me take, I wonder why they didn't do that.
You know, the other thing.
Well, you know, they did, you know, when she was here, it probably wasn't even close to being done.
Might not have been. No,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
currently,
Yeah, you're
Um,
right, that's an obvious one.
you know, I mean, I've wondered with that, like, for example, you know, next stage, and not saying we should make them do something, but, you know, they could have a little shuttle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they
something along those
do,
lines.
they,
They use basket fill.
and they do have a letter of permission to do it up there, but you're right, they could. Yeah,
You know, it's a possibility if they're having
Yeah.
big things going on.
yeah.
You know, the other people who could probably significantly benefit from this because of its proximity is Yellow Barn.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that, So these private spaces that it shows,
Mhm.
and yeah, Yellow Barn is missing for private
Well-
spaces. Is that because they're inaccessible typically, or?
Yeah, I mean, what I asked them to do was to put on the map any private, I really wanted the ones around the town hall really noticeable, because a lot of people feel like those are municipal parking spots.
Right,
So I wanted that really noticeable. I had them do Basketville because I know Basketville has given permission for other
right,
things.
yeah,
So the other private parking lots we didn't do because there are so many. I mean, there's the
okay,
so if there were private parking spaces that were being doubled for something else, possibly, they put them on here. But we can put anything on here we want. It was just, I didn't want too many private ones on here because it would be covered.
yeah.
But the park and ride is definitely something that should be on there.
Well,
Yeah, that's
because
just
it's completely
obvious, yeah.
public, yeah.
The old Depot Road parking that's on there for the apartment
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
those he started out as public, and I said those are for that building.
Yes,
So that's why, I mean, I'm not even sure we really need those on there, other than the fact that it is a project that the town, you know, people might mistake that for public parking, I don't know.
you know, during the daytime when there's nobody around, it has that appearance to it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But it's not a place that typically people are gonna
Yeah.
park anyway, but.
So this is the start, and then Windham Regional's piece is done pretty much, other than me asking them to put that on there. And it just needs to be a community conversation and a question of, does this change anything in what our requirements are for permits when we're giving permits out? And are some of these spaces taken up by some of the permits we've already issued? A lot of them are. So, and it'll be helpful if somebody does put in an application. Just knowing where the
Something to
parking
refer
is.
to, yeah.
So, more to come with that. I'll share it with the DRB and the planning commission and get their feedback and fine tune it a little
Some
bit.
of these look, I mean, like here, people park there, but maybe they do. It's-
Yeah, I don't know that thing,
But, and that's private, this is private property, I mean, that.
Is this is the bank, right? Yeah.
That's Chittenden. This
Right,
is
and then
River
this is River
Valley.
Valley.
Exactly, I mean.
Yeah, I know. See, and that's
I'm not
why.
so sure this is.
And I don't know if when
accurate.
she went down through there were cars there. I don't know.
I mean, I can't think of anybody parking there, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not imagining right, but, I think we
Yeah, I would say some of this is gonna be eliminated, you're right,
I would say so.
I don't think there's supposed to be any parking on that side of the street.
No, I
They
mean,
may be
there
parking there.
there's a pull-off here, which is
Yeah,
often
but it's not
trucks.
illegal.
No,
Yeah.
not at all, and it's not, certainly not plowed or
Yeah,
anything like that, so.
so it'll be good to get, like, have your eyes on, have everybody look at it and say, okay, wait
Yeah.
a minute, in real time, this is not. I wanted to let you know that the village center designation, renewal has been submitted. It was submitted right on February 1st when it was due. And they are reviewing it in March, but our status still remains the same until they get the chance to review it. So that's in,
So, and it was on time.
it was on time.
Yeah.
Yep. The Hickory Ridge Road project, we are going to put out for the culvert replacement. We are going to put out to bid hopefully Friday, at the latest Monday. The cost estimate is quite a bit higher than what we had anticipated. But there are some things, the way that we're putting the bid out is we are reserving the right to do certain things. So the cost estimate has to be broken out. We may buy the culvert ourselves so that we don't have any markup on it. There's some work that that our guys are going to do. So we're hoping by piecing that out, we can keep the project within the budget that we had anticipated. I did ask if it went over budget, if we could use Better Back Roads grant to supplement it, and we cannot. But we'll see what happens.
We don't have a Better Back Roads, we don't have funding from that available, you mean we can
There's-
apply for it?
Yeah, we could apply for it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you
But
can't
it
use
can't.
it to supplement
Yeah.
another grant.
Yeah,
So that should be, hopefully, I think the date we put on it to have it back was March 15th. So, about.
do you don't know yet what the interest in that is, I mean, who are you putting it
No
out to,
idea.
anybody?
We'll put it on the state bid website, and then I'll have Brian give me a list of
People locally.
Yeah. That state bid website really generates a lot of,
Yeah, a lot of people keep
Yeah,
track of it,
yeah.
and they're usually sort of size appropriate outfits. for-
yeah. Just a quick sidewalk update. We are really close to getting the right-of-way stuff done for phase 2, which is general store up to Putney Friends Meeting House. We received the letter of intent for our state permit for phase 3, which was really fast. So phase 3 is actually kind of catching up a little bit. We have the easement documents written up for that. Now that we have the letter of intent, I think we can submit everything to the state for review for phase 3. The way that it's feeling to me is that we may miss even though it
Season.
seems like, yeah, we may miss the season. There's a couple of, I'm working with the landowners, and they have people they want to review the stuff. They need to go through their legal counsel to make sure that what they're signing is appropriate, and they have some questions. So it's going to take, if that process even takes 3 weeks, that puts us into March, April.
Really too late.
A little too late to bid for this summer, but we're still working on it. I'm not gonna give up on it until
And is it really too late, or would it just be not in our financial best interest? I mean,
yeah, you never know.
well, that's what I'm wondering.
I would say
mean,
probably
do you put it out any,
Invigorate.
Yeah.
or if you put it out, are you then committed?
You're not committed, but you can put it out.
Right.
There's a cost to putting it out.
Right.
Probably what I'll do, depending on how this process goes for the next few weeks, I'll start calling some contractors to see, where they're at in their season, what they're thinking, because a lot of times they'll say, look, you can put it out, but we're busy already, we're booked up until.
Right, exactly.
And if I hear
Yeah.
that from 3 or 4 contractors,
you're
then
not-
there's no
then
sense
you're
in
not gonna
even,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember who it was that I was talking to, but another community put something out to bid, they got one back, yeah, I mean, that's bad.
People are busy.
They're busy, I mean, it's good, they're busy, but
Yeah.
it's bad for,
Yeah.
and these projects are big, but they for the contractors, they take a lot
It's
of
a lot,
work.
a lot of hoops.
Yeah. So, so that's where we are with that. It's still moving. It's just, it's moving at a more rapid pace than it was, but that doesn't mean we're going to do it this summer. The 24th, which is our next meeting, we will be having down to the fire station because we are going to have a public meeting to
Affordable
discuss the bridge project.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, so the bridge project, meaning the bridge out here by
And do
the
we
general store.
anticipate turnout for that, or we're just?
I bet we will, yeah. Mostly the abutters, they've all been notified
yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
They're hoping for a 10-day closure of that bridge is what they're hoping for,
Oh.
but,
And what, using Sand Hill Road?
using
As the
Sand Hill
alternate.
Road and then 91 as an alternate
Yeah.
for trucks, yeah. For big trucks.
That'd be interesting.
Hmm.
There's probably a lot of people in town who
Yeah.
would probably make this town nice for 10 days. But,
Yeah, the alternative is doing a one-way closure, have one lane open,
Mhm.
and it takes a lot longer.
That's, yeah.
So, and I think the
Hard for
biggest
everyone.
hurdle they're going to have is the paper mill.
and what are
And-
they doing? Are they actually replacing the bridge, or it's
The
just a
deck of
rehab?
Yeah, I
Oh.
have to look at exactly
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, they're, I think they're taking it back to the
Taking the
rebar
deck
type,
off,
Yeah.
right, and then
replacing
putting it back. Yeah.
rusted rebar.
So hopefully we'll get a lot of people there. We've sent in a lot of information, been in contact with them continually about, I've talked to them about the sidewalk project, telling them that, because this is 2017, they're talking about doing the bridge. So it could coincide at the same time,
That would be,
yeah.
for once, fortuitous, actually.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I have two
maybe.
different contractors trying to work in the same area.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So that's all. I
not
do
being
have an
involved, really,
updated
and
budget
making it up
report.
again.
There wasn't anything on this most recent budget report that really stuck out to me today, other than legal fees for TransCanada. I have emailed our attorney to see if he can send another letter to the state to reimburse us. I think we're at like 3,800 total fees, and we've been reimbursed for like 1,200. What was it, Laura, today? 13? I don't remember. 1244. So I've asked them to write another letter for reimbursement for that. But other than that, we're pretty well on track. Everything's at 60%. Well, for wages anyways. So nothing in there that's alarming.
What's this refund line that's 587%?
Well, there's no budget for it, so, right? Or is there a small budget?
Thousands of. I'm just wondering what's that.
Insurance claims, some of it's the attorney fees that we were refunded for,
yeah.
yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
1,187%.
Well, we've
1,500
received
total,
7,
miscellaneous, 1,500,
our budget's 1,500 and we've received, oh, so that's the insurance claim line.
Okay, so, and that was for what, the bridge?
That was for the tools at the town garage, I
Oh,
believe.
okay, yeah. So, the bridge is not in
The
here?
bridge, oh, God, that was last year.
It was, okay.
And that went into the sewer fund.
Oh,
I'll put that with Steve's, I'll put his packet in his box. everybody written down? I forgot to leave
I think
that.
so.
Yeah, okay. I forgot to leave that over there for people to sign in.
Guess we didn't have any at the last one, so.
Yeah, I don't think we did. Did we have warrants last time? Yeah.
I think one.
Yeah.
Chemical feed building payment. What do we do? Is that like a balloon payment?
That's our payment for the purchase of our chemical feed.
Right, no, I know, I'm just, is that not financed long-term? I can't remember.
It is, I think it's like 5 years, but it was like 60, how much was it?
It's like 65,000 for 5 years.
Is that the second payment?
Oh, so we're just doing, it's a single annual payment, is that
Yeah.
what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right.
We've been busy paying
Okay.
bills, huh?
Man, somebody has been.
Oh, found one signed.
Handy.
Yeah.
Library.
Laura's Megan, the library.
Megan Gauthier,
Yeah.
rec. She's rec.
Oh,
coordinator.
she does the rec coordinating.
She does the
Oh,
concessions. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. This one's already been signed. Oh, let's go.
So we do need a quick executive session so we can decide on who the citizen of the year or person of the year or what, I'm not really sure what it is that we call it. Citizen of the year? Community Service
Service.
Award.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion?
You do. So moved. Do we go into executive session? Move till we go to ugh.
For probably
Move.
no
We go
reason that's
into
listed in the
executive session.
statute, but we're doing it because
It's appropriate.
it's appropriate.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There will be no announcement at the end.
Until
The day.
town meeting day.
Right. More secrets. More secrets.